air, just let us know on the day at the Salam Radio stage. For stall inquiries, please email info@salamradio.co.uk. The Salam Radio Summer Eid Festival, Saturday the 17th of August, 12 to 6 p.m. at the Millfield Recreation Park, opposite Occupation Road. Come, enjoy and celebrate with us to unite all communities.
Feel like some great tasting chicken tonight? Great meal deals, wraps, burgers and sides. We've got it all at Chicken Palace. Call and collect at 302 Lincoln Road on 01733 702 447 or 8 Park Road on 01733 343750. Chicken Palace, open 11am till late.
Broadcasting 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is Salam Radio.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Welcome once again to the Peterborough Property Guys on Salam Radio 106.2 FM. Hope you've guys had a great start to the week so far. You're with myself, Kazafi Sadiq, the host of the Property Guys, alongside my co-host Adam Cooper. Adam, how you doing today?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys getting on today? You all good?
Yeah, I'm not so bad, thank you very much. All is good. How's the week been so far?
It's been manic as always, but it's great. It's really good. Everything's picking up in the rental sector I've seen. We had that, like I said, a few weeks ago. There was a little slump at the start of the year, but now it's just gone nuts. So yeah, I'm loving it. What about you?
Yeah, not so bad in fact. Yeah, it's been good. It's getting busier. Although it's holiday season now, it's a bit tricky. But I always see that's a challenge. But nevertheless, just keep your head down and do what you have to do. So guys, we're bringing to you on Salam Radio every Tuesday at 5 p.m. our show, the Peterborough Property Guys. We are live on Salam Radio on 106.2 FM. You can listen to us online by visiting salamradio.co.uk or watch the show on our streaming services by searching Salam Radio on Facebook, YouTube or Twitter. If you prefer mobile, please download the Salam Radio app through the App Store or Google Play. Salam Radio is always on air 24/7, 365, uniting all communities. You can watch the repeat of the show if you've missed the live show by searching us on our streaming services. So today's guest for this week is Sukhi Waiwala. Sukhi Waiwala is an international multi-award winning entrepreneur, business coach and mentor who has a plethora of credentials and achievements. One being a huge buy-to-let landlord. Sukhi will be sharing with us how he made some of his millions investing in property and will be giving some away some golden nuggets for our current and future buy-to-let generation.
I thought for a minute there you were saying he's giving away some millions there.
Wouldn't we be lucky? So guys, if you've got any questions for Sukhi, then get involved in the show by dialing the studio number, which is 01733 602 133, or you can text or WhatsApp on 07745 278 978. So the main topic to be discussed today is 7 reasons why Peterborough buy-to-let landlords shouldn't be criticised. I bet you're thinking, well, why should they be criticised in the first place? Well, we'll tell you that, and we'll also give you why they shouldn't be criticised. So, as we do every week, Adam, let's remind our listeners, why should they tune in to Salam Radio every Tuesdays at 5 o'clock and listen to us waffle on?
The reason you guys should tune in every week, listeners, waffle on, as Gaddafi would say, is to bring all that local knowledge into one place. We've got local experts, local buy-to-let landlords such as Sukhi himself. We've got years of experience behind us as well. And we know how hard it is to keep up with the property market and the regulation changes. Not just the regulation changes, the trend changes.
Absolutely.
And not only have our landlords got to keep up with all the regulations, they've got to stay competitive in the local market. So, guys, we're bringing it all to you right on your drive home, so you don't have to research it at all. We'll do all the hard work and just bring it to you on a nice, comfy drive back to your house.
Thank you very much for that, Adam. So before we go into the full details, here are some of the headlines of today's topic. A $6 million funding for new affordable homes in Peterborough last week has recently been approved by the Peterborough City Council. House prices in Peterborough crept up by 0.3% in July, contributing to a 3.4% rise over the last 12 months. An Englishman's home is his castle, so the saying goes. Have buy-to-let investors made it tough for first-time buyers to get on the property ladder? More on that with Adam. And in fact our special guest. So today is a special day today because it's not only our 6th show, it's not only the 6th of August, but in fact it's our guest Sukhi Waiwala's birthday. So Suki, happy birthday. Thank you very much for coming on the show on this auspicious occasion.
Oh, goodness me. Thank you very much, Kazafi, and thank you very much for Adam. It's really is a humble pleasure, and I would never have let you down, even if it is my birthday, because that's not that important, is it? The property boys are more important.
Thank you very much, Suki. Much appreciated for you taking out your quality time on this special day. So, guys, if you're listening live on Salam Radio, we normally tend to ask you a question to engage with you guys, but today, all we really ask from you is if you could WhatsApp or comment on Facebook Live and wish Suki a happy birthday.
No,
and that's all he asked for.
Not to me, not today.
By the way, guys, our WhatsApp number is 07745 278978. But if you guys are on Facebook, search Salam Radio, and you can find us on there, and just type in a comment and wish Suki happy birthday, because Suki is a local community Peterborean, born and bred.
Yes, proudly so. Absolutely proudly so. Complete Peterborough born and bred, and actually born on the street that we're talking about here, Cromwell Road.
Wow, there you have it.
There we are. So, what are we talking about today then, sirs?
Interesting. So, our topic today is why Peterborough buy-to-let landlords should have been criticised. So, Adam, if you don't mind, why are buy-to-let landlords being criticised at this current moment of time?
Well, there's always a number of reasons for this sort of thing, because it's always a bit of fake news spread, in my opinion. But I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, the last few years, the number of buy-to-let properties which have been bought to be used for rental properties has been increasing at a rate which is nothing short of incredible. You know, which puts a lot of increasing pressure on the youngsters of today who are being dubbed Generation Rent, because they're being beaten to houses by investors.
Yeah.
And not only that, obviously, more demand, the prices go up. So again, it pushes the market up even more at a reach of the first-time buyers. But then they become tenants, so it's quite ironic, really. So then again, it's like one big vicious circle in that view of it. But I mean, many people believe that the government's partly to blame to this, because we had such relaxed tax laws on the buy-to-let sector before. It made total sense for landlords to buy buy-to-let properties, whether that was a big portfolio landlord or just an individual landlord with a couple. So I mean, but all the rules have changed recently, haven't they? So we're going to get to that point in a bit of how it's all gone back the other way.
I mean, do you feel the unfair criticism for some of the Peterborough landlords has gone too far?
I think yes and no, because I think there's certain landlords, as always in any industry you're in, there's certain landlords who are generally breaking the rules and doing a bit of unscrupulous practices. But then there are the good landlords who follow the rules by the book and offer something that's can't be beaten by anyone else to their tenants.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's always a bit. It depends where they're reading it from, doesn't it? You know, it depends what side of the fence you're on at the end of the day.
Correct. Absolutely. Suki, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this, in fact.
Yeah, I'd love to add, if I may. Thank you very much again, team, for having me on today on your amazing Property Guys show. So, just for reference, the landlord scenario being criticised as a whole, in my humble opinion, and over the years of, I've been 30 years as a landlord myself, and it seems, I know you're looking at my face thinking, it's not possible, Suki. It's just not possible. I can fully appreciate.
Do you also want to share the remedy? Secret ingredient?
Oh, goodness.
I bet everyone's tuning in now. Guys, tune in.
Come on, hashtag Suki. No, don't do that. So the reality of life is that in 30 years, my father, Mr. Randhir Wahiwala, who's been kind of within the makeup of the Peterborough arena myself, over the years, by the way, he was a property investor way back in mid-60s. So his property portfolio started way back then. Most of our listeners kind of know him, but the international listeners who are listening probably don't know of him. So he was very au fait with this information right at the start as a landlord. The difference being, his vision has been very religious in the sense of he's been very authentic in his honesty of how he brings a property to the market, for example. So on many occasions, just to share, you were touching just something a moment ago, Adam, about buyers being kind of muscled out of the market. Is that right? So the reality is, I can tell you now, personally, probably best part of maybe 40 or 50 transactions that I've moved out of myself, because I believe that us landlords from Peterborough area, from all over the world, in the UK full stop, we have an order. It's not just always about the money. Really, there should be an ethic and an understanding. There's a lovely conversation that I can bring to, if I can bring to conversation here about Mark Twain.
Okay.
Mark Twain says that the two most important days of my life are when I was born, and I mean this for male or female, when I was born and the day I found out why.
Wow.
So the reality of life is that there's an evolution to this, which I've added to Mark Twain's. I do not claim it, but I've added to his. And it's basically the day I was born, the day I found out why, and the day I realized that this is a temporary life, that I will be going. That is when we start to realize that there's an order and there's an understanding that we have to stand by ourselves as well. So bringing the conversation back together, I've always stood by ethics when I've been involved in property. So if somebody is purchasing for the first time and I get to find out that this is a first time buyer, I withdraw my offer. So this is
amazing
and heritage that our families had all along. So if that helps a little bit, the reality is I think every single person should be understanding that business is business, but also to establish somebody's family, I believe the ethics are very important as well. So by stepping aside a little bit when somebody wants to buy the place to buy a property to live in, big deal. Step aside. Where comes one? We have plenty of quotes all our life. Richard Branson says, "Don't worry, there's another bus coming."
Yeah, correct. Absolutely. I mean, as the saying goes, it's business. So for a lot of landlords, it really is business, and it's good to hear the fact that you have a different kind of mindset to it, which is absolutely amazing. So thank you for sharing with us. Okay. I mean, there are 5,017 and growing Peterborough portfolio buy-to-let landlords. What's created this storm for private renting to explode the way it has over the last 2 decades, Adam?
Well, what it was is people were allowed to buy their own council houses in the 1980s.
Wow, okay.
That took a massive amount of houses out of the collective pot for social housing. So that was a huge thing that the government did back then, which was great at the time. Again, it relieved the short-term pain, but now it's created long-term pain because it's taken so much out of the system.
Interesting.
That we needed more rental houses for the people who would have rented a council house before to go into. Because there's all different sectors of the buy-to-let industry,
Correct.
isn't there?
Yeah.
So if you're going to deal with social housing, that's where these guys are gone. But I mean, landlords have been vilified by many. It's been just such an unhealthy and ravenous appetite to make cash and profit at the expense of poor renters unable to buy their first home. So like Suki just said, that's a very interesting way you've done that, because I've never heard of that as well.
Yeah, we definitely stand aside that. And I think, sorry to butt in the conversation there, but I think it's a really valid point there. And one of the things is that the 80s did give the rented council individuals the opportunity to get onto the house ladder. So it did it robbed the rental market, but in essence it also brought them onto the market as being house owners. So it's one of those things. I don't think it was all negative. I think maybe in the 80s people who would never have dreamt to be able to buy their property did. I think the problem would have open-heartedly saying that there could have been a bit of a restriction saying that you can't sell this for 10 years. And that would have been valuable, because that would have been beneficial for that individual to live in that property. Because I know so many people who did purchase their properties, I'm mentioning no names because it's not fair, who did purchase the property and just sold it straight away for the cash refund, the cash uplift, and went back into the housing ladder.
No, it's true. I saw it myself many times also, Suki. When I was selling, so many ex-council tenants who had bought their house who were selling, and they were either selling one for the cash or two because they already spent the cash by refinancing so many times. At a point where it was financially unviable for them to live there anymore. Which is crazy. So it looked like they either get at one end or the other, either in advance or at the end. It's almost like a bit of long-term financial education along with the property would have gone well.
Yeah.
There must be some more contributing factors in terms of the Section 21 notice being introduced. How did that in fact open up a door for investors to actually invest money into property?
Oh, that made a huge difference. Cause the fact that the Section 21 no-fault eviction was introduced, it made lenders so much more relaxed because they knew that no matter what, they could take back repossession of the property without seeing tenants.
And what was the law prior to that? Because as far as I'm aware, you've heard of long-term tenancy agreements where some tenancies, they're lifetime tenancies, aren't they?
In some instances. Get the old assured tenancies.
Yeah.
Where you couldn't kick people out just for no reason. No. I mean, I've still seen houses for sale now with assured tenancies, still 30-year tenancies, and the tenants never leaving.
Yeah.
Because they're paying £250 on a 2-bed flat, which in this current market is about 700, sometimes even 800, depending on the area.
Wow.
Pounds per month of rent. So I mean, that is like a buy-to-let landlord's worst nightmare. Because there's nothing they can do, essentially. And them same tenancies can be passed down through the generations. So this could go on for the lifetime of the family. You just never know. So taking off that stigma, that risk for the lenders and saying, look, you can evict a tenant through no fault of their own should you ever need to, the banks started opening up, and boom, buy-to-let mortgages were born in around about 1997.
Amazing.
You know, and secondly, in the early 2000s, them same building societies and banks were relaxing the lending criteria with self-certification, so meaning you didn't need to prove your income. And mortgages were getting lent up to 8 times the annual salary that people were claiming.
Wow.
And for really, really little interest-only payments, which made it such a lucrative market.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, thirdly, the lack of building council houses in the last 2 decades as well. I mean, can you believe the government only built 6,510 council houses in the whole of the UK between 1997 and 2010?
Interesting.
You know, 6,510 properties. You know, and the massive shortage we have, you know, it's the problem's just escalated from there, hasn't it? Given the government their due, though, I mean, they have built 20,840 council houses since 2010. It's still woefully low compared to the number of council houses built in the 60s and 70s. I mean, they used to be building an average of 142,000 council houses per year nationally. That means that the people who would have rented from the council previously, they had no council house to rent. You know, so there's so many factors like this. You know, all the interest rate changes, the lack of council houses, which have really sent the biotech sector into a crazy, crazy space we're in now.
Can I add something to that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in favour of the country and the governmental practices, post-war, there was a vast majority, if not a third, of the properties in London and surrounding areas which were all damaged and desecrated. So there was a lot of boom artificially created through the 50s, 60s and 70s of creation of property, but that's actually to put back property into the streets of London and surrounding areas, and wherever there were banks, camps and stuff. So it was kind of artificial as well. It never really was ever in that high category of X amount, 100,000 every year. It was all artificially produced as well. Plus, in the 60s, I'm not sure whether everybody knows this, but in the 60s there was also what we call a population boom. So the 60s and the 70s saw a population boom, plus the desecration of the British Raj and some other environments like that. Most of the basically the people who were under the Raj actually started to migrate to England as well, because obviously that's where they'd spent most of the time studying as well and working. So there was quite a big boost in population, so the ratios changed as well. So that's just a little bit of thoughts.
So it's interesting you mention that as well, Suki. No, it's interesting because I don't know if you've heard of it. Again, we're going slightly off topic here, but when you say about the artificial sort of numbering game because of damaged houses, it's a bit like, I don't know if you heard about like shared housing, about the valuation office now banding rooms as like band-aid council tax, but it's not really for the money. It's because government has got to hit so many numbers of new builds per year. Yes. Every banding they put out counts as a new build technically on their list. Yeah.
Well, I'm unqualified to answer that question with reality, but hypothetically, or should I say in a logical format, that absolutely makes sense. And there are always massaging of one list against another list against another list, and we've seen this time and time again on various things. But I think we're going off topic, but I believe you with there. So yes, I do agree with you there, Adam.
Commercially speaking, purchasing a Peterborough property has been undoubtedly the best thing anyone could have done with the hard-earned savings since 1998, where property values in Peterborough have risen by 290%, and basing it on the average rental in Peterborough, rental income earned was about 142,000. Yet the younger generation have lost out as they are now incapable to get on the property ladder, especially in central London. What could be done to readdress this balance?
Well, I mean, because I think the government has, over the last few years, started to redress the imbalance by increasing taxes for landlords. You know, together with banks being tight on the lending criteria, meaning the days of the 90s are long gone for Peterborough landlords. You know, over the last 20 years, making money in property in Peterborough was considered quite an easy task. You didn't need to be that educated to make money in the rental market. Let's be honest, without putting landlords down, you didn't need to. There was such demand. No, it just came.
You fell on your feet, basically.
Yeah, literally. You could have just been an accidental landlord and realised how good it was, and you could have grown from there. Whereas nowadays, with all the tax changes, everything's changed. Yeah, and like I say, the trends, market trends especially, I think so many landlords overlook that. So, I mean, nowadays, it comes back to when you're being a letting agent, it's evolved. You know, you're not merely a rent collector anymore. You're now like a portfolio advisor for these landlords.
Absolutely.
Now, these landlords are coming to us, especially me. I deal with a lot of shared housing, a lot of investment properties with landlords, you know, big dedicated landlords, portfolio landlords, and they're coming to me for advice on the best properties to buy. They're trying to mitigate sort of Brexit as well, so they're really future planning these nowadays. You know, it's not just like we were saying, you just bought a property, you became an accidental landlord and it made money. Everything's strategic. And I believe that's the way it's going to go in the future as well. If the government tax changes and even the regulation changes.
Legislation's changed.
Yeah.
It's become a lot more strict. Eventually, what they are thinking about doing is get the industry regulated, which is going to be making it even more tougher for buy-to-let investors.
It really is. I mean, look at the client money protection thing that's just come out as well, where everyone's got to be client money protected. You know, so there's a lot of landlords who do it through leasing property, and now even they have to be regulated with client money protection accounts. They have to have actual designated client accounts. You know, even though they're collecting a lot of the rent for themselves and paying one fee to the landlord, so they're really clamping down on what looks like the more inexperienced landlords or the smaller landlords. Yeah.
Just to add something to that, basically there are a number of landlords that came through from the 70s, 80s, and I'd say 90s, but it's really the noughties that saw the biggest boom for the buy-to-let marketplace, hence why it crashed over in 2007 and 8. But there, even some of the larger landlords that I know, personally, they're still not that organised, because the reliance is overly on the letting agent now. Because as a landlord, Section 24 and a number of other things which are what I would say the capital issues, things with taxations and balance sheets, etc. But as a whole, everything is principally at least regulated through the letting agents, which is where you boys come in.
Yeah.
So the actual landlord itself has a level of what I could say is responsibility, but there is an element of mitigation to that if there is a qualified, authorised, ALA, etc., letting agent, which is what you guys are doing. So I think it's moving in the right direction, team. In my opinion, I don't believe, and I educate thousands of people on the planet with reference to property and investment and structures and how they can move forward themselves and actually finding these properties. So in the same principle, I would 100% say that it's moving in the right direction. I am so for selective license. I'm so for all of these elements, and I think they're the best thing that ever happened. I think it was an unchecked industry, and I believe it's a very good place to be. That's where I say.
Couldn't agree more there. I really couldn't. You know, I think we're going to see over the next few years a lot of the smaller agencies who maybe weren't doing it right to be sort of disappearing off the high street. You know,
Rightly so.
It was needed. You know, it was definitely needed, especially in Peterborough. I mean, everyone was a letting agent.
That's right.
Everyone was letting because they saw easy money, saw pound signs in their eyes, and that's not what we want as landlords or for our tenants.
No. And I think going back to the authority of oneself and how we show up in the world, you know, is how we do one thing is how we do everything in life. So if we show up in the world realizing that we've got our time to cut out here, we've got to do something well, that's a bit of authenticity to the whole program.
Definitely.
And I believe that will only regulate it. I mean, it happened in the restaurant industry as well. If you think about it realistically, that became regulated, and we've got a good, strong structure when people are actually running a restaurant system. And I believe it's exactly the same for us. That should be the case for us landlords.
I guess it comes down with anything. I mean, we have to take due diligence in every aspect of our life. So if we're going to be landlords, then we've got a part to play in it. We can't just solely rely on the letting agency.
Brilliant point. Sorry, I'm just adding in here, but it's just an ad lib. You're making such fine points, so they're very relevant points. A taxi driver goes through plating, goes through checking every single year, has their own insurances in place. I think there's certain elements of, there are still some slacknesses through the property industry where there isn't actually a law that states that the landlord should have insurances and stuff, even though they expect it to. But if it's unencumbered, which means they don't have a mortgage on the property, who's there to regulate them?
No.
I think there's some crossovers that need to happen between personal and landlord industries. For example, buy-to-let letting, such things as, if I can bring a point to the marketplace, where, you know, if I let a property, I have to have gas safe, I have to have electricity checked and tests and stuff. But if I live in it myself, I don't.
You don't know.
No, I don't. So where's that regulation coming in? I think a law should be across the board, and I think these are valuable points to tighten up in the industry. Full stop. It's a very lucrative industry, and it should be lived there. You know, I live in my house. Who's telling me I have to take the choice whether I'm going to open up, have a gas safe certification for my boilers? The reality is, it should be for everybody.
Fantastic. Really interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more there. I mean, God, some of the scary sights I've seen when I bought a house or my clients bought houses. Oh my God, you wonder how on earth they lived.
And people were living in there. That's not okay. So I think in future, I believe that the government should have a department which is actually manufactured just specifically for buy-to-let, because it's not going away, team. You know, some of us have accrued a large number of property. It's not going away. We're not disappearing. I think regulating it is the way forward, and I think the people who take it professionally can still make a very lucrative job of it. Especially, going back to your original point, if I may say, Kazafi, when you were saying specifically about rentals, people who purchased way back then 200% increase in their asset value. I can remember collecting rents from this street here. With all the properties that we own here, and in the street here, knocking on the door and picking up £150 per month and £175 per month. That was in the days when it was when the properties
Early
themselves
days,
were 13, 14, maybe even £8,000.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've been around for quite some time. Once again, I know I don't look it. Just bring some humour to the table. So those same things are happening, and yes, they are. If you think about the asset value, it has increased, and actually, it's the best it's ever been. Property ratios way back when I can remember in the 80s and in the early 70s, the rents nowhere in majority of the property ranges did not even cover the rent or the mortgage to be paid. Just to let you know, there was hardly any property that was covering.
Really interesting.
Okay.
It's interesting the fact that Suki mentioned, people, the regulate landlords should be equally regulated as compared to tenants. And we were talking about this last week, in fact, how some of your tenants are living in better accommodation compared to the way we live. So
yeah, true.
Correct. I mean, I'm for the fact that we should have a landlord's register and a landlord's examination and a landlord's assessment and a certification and a license. Because if I have a car and I'm going to be a taxi driver, I'm expected to have a license to prove it. So I'm all for that. If anybody's listening, get on with it.
Super duper. Well, plenty more to add on that one, and after the break we're going to be getting to more detail with Suki and his background in property. So guys, make sure you tune in after the break, because we're going to be asking a series of questions to Suki Waiwala and how he got on the property ladder and how he made his money in property. So make sure you do come back. See you after the break.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio after this short ad break.
Where can you get high quality and low prices? Amar Food Store and Halal Meat in Lincoln Road, Triangle is the place to go. Pay us a visit and take advantage of our special offers and great range of products on groceries, vegetables, fruits and halal meat. Also send money to Pakistan absolutely free. We have all top brands at special offers, offer free customer parking and provide a free local delivery service. Amar Food Store and Halal Meat, 613B Lincoln Road, Peterborough. Call us on 01733 687 374. High in quality, low in prices.
Peterborough just got a whole lot tastier. Five Lads Flame Grilled Peri Peri Chicken is now open. Bring your family and friends to Peterborough's first HMC meat-selling restaurant. We are experts in grilled chicken, lamb chops, and gourmet lamb and beef burgers. Our healthy options include fresh salads and fresh grilled vegetables. Fresh, clean, and healthy grilled food with 4 different flavours: lemon and herb, medium, hot, and extra hot. 5-star hygiene rating. Eat in, order and collect, or order for delivery on Deliveroo. Follow 5 Lads Peterborough on Facebook and Instagram. 5 Lads, 15 Cowgate, Peterborough, PE1 1LZ. Call 01733 56 22 87. Open 7 days a week, 12 to 11 p.m.
Insure 24/7 is a community-based insurance brokerage offering competitive premiums and a great service. Taxis, properties and businesses, we cover them all. Call us on 01733 856699 or visit our new office at 304 Lincoln Road. Insure 24/7. We've got you covered. Insure 24/7 is authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
There's a million choices available for dining out in Leeds.
But if you want something special, there's only one name to remember.
Mumtaz Leeds.
Relax in our newly refurbished Riverside restaurant.
Enjoy exquisite home cooking from our brand new menu. Upgrade to the Mumtaz Leeds experience.
And the price? Well, we're better value than ever before.
Mumtaz Leeds, Chadwick Street, Leeds, LS10 1PJ. Call 0113 242 4211.
Free car parking available.
Salam Radio is celebrating Eid and our 3rd anniversary. On Saturday the 17th of August, join us for a great day out for the whole family. Everyone welcome, all ages, all backgrounds, all faiths or none. 12 to 6 p.m, free entry at the Millfield Recreation Park. Enjoy barbecue food, other food stalls, ice creams, clothes stalls, funfair rides, bouncy castles, children's activities, sports activities, and much, much more. Salam Radio will be broadcasting live from the event. So if you've got a talent and want to go on air, just let us know on the day at the Salam Radio stage. For stall inquiries, please email info@salamradio.co.uk. The Salam Radio Summer Eid Festival, Saturday the 17th of August, 12 to 6 p.m. at the Millfield Recreation Park, opposite Occupation Road. Come, enjoy and celebrate with us to unite all communities.
Broadcasting 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. This is Salam Radio.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Salam Radio 106.2 FM. You're with the Peterborough Property Guys.
You love playing music recently, don't you, Kaz?
What can I say?
Just want to soften the mood.
I feel it.
You have it. Ziki, that was for you.
Was that just for me?
That was your little birthday song.
You told me you were playing Happy Birthday.
You made it up, didn't you? You made it, but I can't hear the birthday song.
He told me he was going to play Happy Birthday.
No, he's going to have to sing it now. Him and his voice is going to have to sing it, isn't he?
That sounds much better anyway, to be fair.
Sorry, we're having a bit of a technical issue there. We'll be with you very shortly.
Press play, I think. I'll be good. Be good, guys. Welcome back to. So, guys, before the break, we were talking to our special guest in our show, who's also our birthday guest, our first birthday guest.
Yeah.
Welcome. Really nice to have you here, Suki. We were talking about property in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, and how different it is in this kind of current era. So, but I mean, Suki, you're a very accomplished individual.
Complex, thank you.
I can go on for a while with your achievements and your accolades, but we're the Peterborough Property Guys, and we want to be asking you all the right questions about property, so our guys who are tuning in right now can benefit from your knowledge.
I have a very simple methodology. If I don't share it, it goes with me. So I'm here to share with the legacy. It's all about
guys.
That,
if you've got any questions you want to ask Suki, then please give us a call. Tune in. Our studio number is 01733 602 133. WhatsApp us. Ask a question on WhatsApp 07745 278 and most of us are on Facebook. So open up the app, type in Salam Radio. We're live on Salam Radio. You could ask any questions you like, and Suki, with his wealth of knowledge, will be giving you the answers. So Suki, please share with us a bit of background about your success, mainly how you got involved in property.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a very wonderful question. I get asked that quite a lot, actually. I can be very, very open and honest with yourself. The reality is that I didn't actually understand anything else but that, to be honest, Kazafi.
Okay.
Because I was
interesting.
I was born into the Wahiwala family, and my father. If I go back a little further, if I may.
Yes, please.
My elders, for example, my grandfather and his brothers. So, for example, in English terms, we would call that my granduncles. But in the Asian orientation, we still call it my grandfathers. They were here in the 1930s and 1940s. Okay. So we used to import and export product from then India and Pakistan was one. Okay. So pre-47. And it was also under the British Raj, so the transactions were very, very simple. So we used to dispatch product from the UK into Karachi, and then from Karachi into Lahore, which is where we'd have our shops and retail from.
Interesting.
So in that era, my elders tended to be in this Peterborough area and surrounding areas due to the fact that there was an army base here. A lot of people don't actually know this in this modern environment, but there was an army base here, and so they would do a lot of stock selling and peddling, things of that sort of nature to the army people as they arrived back into the country. They would spend 2 to 3, 4 nights reacclimatizing themselves, collecting their wages, their salaries, and then going home for the leave.
Okay.
So logically they'd buy gifts and etc. So our elders were here. My uncle, which is my father's eldest brother,
Okay.
his name is Gurcharan Singh Wahiwala. He actually had a shop here just up the road on Cromwell Road, 175 Cromwell Road, and he had a shop way back in the 1950s.
Wow.
And prior to that, in the 1940s,
Interesting.
Yeah, 1940s, he had a retail shop with Baba Aurangzeb, if you remember the gentleman from the.
Now
Radio
that is
Back
going
That's
way back.
So they were the first two Asian people who were in business in that era, and that was down on Huntley Grove. People wouldn't know this, but it's in Dogsthorpe. I thought I'd just share this because it's on recording, so you've got it all there as well.
Absolutely.
So our heritage is quite strong. My father came here in the 60s, and we're property barons over there as well, in India. My father came in around 64 to be exact. He was also involved, he's an electrical engineer, he brought a trade with him. He also did a lot of work, and there is also a Salam Radio in Power Hours show, if you want to check up on Randhir Wahiwala, his whole history is there as well. So I won't repeat it now. But I was born into property and retail. So I have a very, very humble heart when I say that I don't think I knew anything different. I was 8 years old when I realized what a load-bearing wall was.
Wow.
When I realized that upstairs and downstairs actually are above each other. Because every child, you can all call into your children that you're listening to right now. At a certain age, you start to realize when you go up the stairs, it's directly above and below. Otherwise, it's always another world. It's like as though you're on the same level.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So at 8 years old, I realized there was an upstairs and downstairs because Dad was developing a property on 114, 116 Ledbury Road. And this is pre-1977, probably before both you boys were born.
Yeah.
1977. So I was there with him, and he was turning two semi-detached properties into one for a residence to live.
Okay.
And he bought them both together for that particular purpose on Ledbury Road, just outside Jack Hunt School. And he was removing the inner wall. And so as he was removing the inner wall, logically you have an open area. They're propping up the wall, they're taking the wall out and putting an RSJ across the bottom. So I understood a load bearing at that very young age. So just to give you an example, so property as a whole, I genuinely thought everybody has that same access to what I had, and the knowledge, the heritage, and the understanding. So that was my own misconception of life. Later in life, 2006, that sort of time, I started to realize I needed to help other people, so I changed my views on that. But property itself I've been buying and selling properties actually before I was 18. So I wasn't buying them myself, but I was assisting in buying, renovating, helping my father. There was a property at 128 Lincoln Road. I'm being very local here, by the way.
Okay.
So 128 Lincoln Road, which Bill Singh owns now. He's turned it into the Urban Suites. I thought I'd give him a quick mention.
Okay.
That used to be called the Evergreen Rest Home. So we purchased it way back, 1978, 79, from the Pathak family, the Pathak family.
Okay.
And the Pathak family used to reside there. It's on the corner of Lime Tree Avenue and Lincoln Road.
Yeah.
So we purchased that then, and my father turned that into a residential home for the elderly because he was the type of person who believed in human ethics as a humanitarian, full stop. Irrelevant of what faith we've come from, our first faith is humanity. So he was an humanitarian. He didn't believe that the elders were being looked after very well. So he went out of his way and he decided to put it right by creating an elderly residential home called the Evergreen Rest Home. And he did, and my sisters and him, they ran it through the period of time. But later in the years, in 1990, that sort of time frame, 1990, 1991, we turned it into a hotel. Thus it's one now.
Okay.
So we turned it into a hotel. It was actually a 17-bedroom hotel in those days. So it was one of many properties that he had at the time. So story short, I fell on the tools. So when you're talking about somebody who's done the 5 o'clock in the morning, 11, 12 o'clock at night, being a caddy, running back in screwdrivers, hammers, and passing the wrong hammer, getting shouted at. I think you can understand that, everybody. Get the hammer. So, okay, go and get the hammer. I've done it all with blessings and true honour. So that's principally part of my journey.
There must be a hint of inspiration, or do you just get pushed in the deep end?
The inspiration was, I have a simple ecological view to life. Don't turn your passion into a business. Just become passionate about business. So whatever business you're in, become passionate about it. It's going to be a phase of your life. Okay, whatever phase it is. People say passions into profit. No, I just say just turn profits into your passion. Just get simple. Whatever you're doing, it's a gift. Whatever you're doing, whatever earning you're having, it's a halal, it's a tithing, it's an honest living. Yeah, what we would say in the Sikh way is the kirt, hard earning. If you're getting it, you're receiving it, you were destined it. So the reality is, get excited about that. So my inspiration came from my mum, sadly who's no longer with ourselves, passed away in December 2018. And so in reference to who doctored my mindset, it was my mum.
Amazing.
And I'd say 60 to 70% of my thought processing is actually from my mum, in the sense of how orderly, how structured, how process driven I am, etc. All those sort of things come from my mum. And then my father, I think I've got to say openly that if I hadn't had the filtrations from my mum, which is talking about the inspiration and the knowledge and the understanding, Gurmeet Kaur Wahiwala, then I don't think I could have understood. My father's advice, mentoring, strategy, discussions and stuff would have probably fallen on deaf ears, if that makes sense.
So you're a really successful individual. You're a multimillionaire. You're a business coach. You're a mentor. Actually, in fact, an award-winning mentor. What was the turning point in your life when it comes to becoming a successful individual?
Do you know, success, if I can just pre-frame the word success, because success to me is nothing more or nothing less than achieving what you set out to do. So it could well be achieving to get to the office in time.
Okay.
That is equal success. So if it's financial success, or should I say financial stability that we're talking about, then I think the turning point for myself is because I think I was around about 20.
Okay.
When I was 19, 20, when I was already running 2 or 3 companies at the time. I'd built up a few companies from inside there. We were talking just in the break about Ice Direct, one of my other previous companies. It actually spawned around 1991, 92.
Okay.
And we bought it into the old Wahiwala & Co shop. You know, the Wahiwala shop down there, the home store shop. So we bought it into that shop. I designed it into that shop. So the story goes that I think the ignition, we were talking about before the break, we were saying what exactly changes in your life, what makes you think, what makes you work. I think I set myself a small task of making sure that I could actually run a business competently. Okay. And when I started realizing that I could, because of the doctoring from both mum and dad, and I'm talking about 7 generations of retail, they'd really installed it into my brain. I think, to be open and honest without any hold bars, my birthday today, so I'm just going to open it as it is. I think, we all fall forward, using a quotation from Fiona McCarthy, who's one of my clients as well, one of my mentees. We fall forward. I made mistakes, we made errors, but the robustness to be able to get up and kind of like to stand up. Let's make it really simple. Let's not get too philosophical. Let's go to Rocky Balboa, a fictitious character. Okay. But it's not how hard you fall, it's how quickly you get back up.
Absolutely.
And so we've all had those challenges.
Sure.
It's not fallen on my lap. I've worked very hard with chaperoning, with mentoring from my parents. So if it assists, I think the time that really shifted in my brain was when I started to realize that I was actually running a business around 1920. And then the second real impactful shift in my life started when I was around 21, 22, when I started to focus very, very seriously on property. And that's when I started to accrue property. I started to focus on how I could accrue more property, etc. So that was the turning point.
Wow. This is going to, correlate quite nicely with our topic. If you don't mind me asking, without giving your age away, what kind of year was that in the 90s?
Yeah. So let's work backwards. I was around 93, 94.
So early 90s. So the property market was
mid-90s. Yeah. It was actually post. No, it was actually a very poor time. It was post. I'm only 45 today, but actually, as wisdom goes, I've accrued from my parents and elders before me, brother, sisters, all of them. So I was actually here in 1987, 88 at school, knowing that inflation is hitting, the stock market has crashed. I'd seen it firsthand. I was actually awake, consciously to know that, and to know it was going to be a drastic effect to the property industry. And so I'm talking about an era and a period when 1990, 1991, when we were actually, I think 89, 90, 91, we were seeing 15.9% APRs.
We touched upon that, one of our topics, where interest rates were really high,
very high,
in the early 90s.
That's right. And so I hit that period of time. So I saw it. I learnt firsthand to accrue property together from my father. So that was the time frame. So around early 90s, yes.
Amazing.
This is an interesting point, so if you don't mind me asking. So your father had property back in that big crash.
Yes,
when the
absolutely.
interest rates went crazy. So how did he handle it?
Dad's a genius. I have to say the honest truth. He's a genuine genius. Why? Because he sees things, and he's just got this attitude of nothing's a problem.
True.
Yeah, he doesn't register as a challenge. So we were in a fortunate position to be financially cash rich as well, because we had retail operations and buying and that sort of thing. So I don't think it was a big challenge for him. He reduced some of the property portfolio around that sort of time frame, but all he did is basically just paid down and sat very comfortably in another arena. Does that make sense? So he never bought, the modern way of investing fundamentally has an error. If I can share, this is comparative to how we've built our wealth.
Okay.
The fundamental challenge is that it's built on leverage. Okay, so that wasn't how my father built his property portfolio. Dad built his portfolio upon liquidity. He had liquidity from other businesses and he invested into property. The difference is that most people of today are taught this. I don't teach this myself. I teach a 3+1 process, which is my own written product. But most people buy. This is exactly what happened, by the way, I think maybe you might not remember this, but in first hand in 1998, 91, 2001, 2002, etc. This is the exact thing that happened at that period of time, where people were actually buying on false pretense. They could get the first mortgage, but they were buying, leveraging, and purchasing the next property with the equity from the previous property, and 7 to 10 properties later, they'd totally dragged themselves. And this is one of the things. So my father didn't have that ethic, and I've never learned that way.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us, Hickey. Just want to read out some messages that we've been receiving on Facebook. So you will be getting some birthday wishes from a number of people. Also got a message from Roger Sabir Ahmed, who is the son of the new local mayor. And he said, 2 great personalities of Peterborough, late Uncle Sadiq, which is my father, and respected Mr. Wahiwala are great friends of his father, Mayor of Peterborough, Councillor Gul Nawaz. So thank you very much for that message, Raja Sabil. Much appreciated, and everyone who's watching.
God bless you, Raja.
Thank you very much for tuning in and for all those nice birthday wishes. So, Saki, what advice would you give the future buy-to-let investors to get on the property ladder, considering how tough it is nowadays?
Okay, so there's scenarios for this. I'm sure Adam will probably jump in somewhere along the line, but there's scenarios for this. But if you genuinely are looking to get onto the property ladder, I would always go with the first point would be to build up the capital deposit first.
Okay.
I wouldn't base yourself on leverage, because if you base on leverage, you are setting yourself up somewhere along the line for some kind of a volatility towards the ups and downs of interest rates and inflation rates. And inevitably it's going to be going up. We're facing that. It's going to happen, whichever way we look at it. It's temporarily staying down until we get stabilised with Brexit, and then 2020, 2021, we're going to be seeing it creeping back up again. Okay, so my first advice would be is to be very sincere about your deposit. Don't fib yourself. Don't jump too soon. Try to get into properties where you got help to buy. And also try to get into possibly shared purchases, so you can actually co-own, get into the property ladder with as much money as you possibly can, and then try to, it sounds a bit funny, but the property you live in, please do yourself a favour, don't leverage it. Don't leverage it. Stay with the property that you've got for yourself and try to bring that down as close as you can to not having a mortgage, or unencumbered, as we call it in the financial industry, because that is where your sanity comes. If I gave people advice, which I've seen thousands of times, because I have nearly 75,000 students across the planet with God's blessings, and
amazing.
If you go across and you walk backwards, I have an absolute trajectory that people can see. It's exactly the same every single time. 15 years into property investment, the people have, if they had just followed simple instructions of bringing their house mortgage down, they would actually have more liquid capital, which then they could save up quicker, and then they could purchase their first buy-to-let property properly. So there are methodologies. If it was myself, we call it 3+1. So try to borrow from family, so the family is not going to necessarily charge you interest, and possibly they won't need to put you under pressure to purchase the property, to pay back. So acknowledge it with them for about a 10-year program. If you need to pay them interest, add it in there, but don't stress yourself over the period of time. Make it a 10-year program, and never take your eye off the first plan. The first plan is to endeavour to pay them back. So buy the property, get on the ladder, earn capital from it. The income that comes from the property, if you're co-sharing, say if you buy a 4-bedroom house and you only need 2, you can Airbnb some what we call serviced accommodation, and I can talk about that wholeheartedly, so I've got the full details of that. But bring some capital income in, reduce your equity, reduce your outgoings, buy a property on interest only, and overpay every month. Now, I can go far back in 2000 and I think it was 2011. When 2010, 2011, Adam, you might help me up with this legislational time frame, but around that circa period of time, we got restricted on how much we could overpay on our mortgages. Otherwise, majority of the people who were purchasing buy-to-lets were buying on interest only, and they forgot the fact that they had to bring the mortgage down. So principally, they were relying on the equitable increase, the asset value. So my suggestion strongly is to keep your eye on that. Pay down your mortgage. If you want to finish a 35 or a 25-year mortgage in 13 and a half, 14 years, take an interest-only mortgage and pay it by 10 to 15% more over every year. Watch that deplete. Every single year, ask them to realign the property mortgage and it will disappear.
There you go, guys.
I think this is where most people go wrong nowadays, Suki. Because I think, so I know that especially the circle I'm mixed in, we do a lot of commercial loans nowadays, again, to increase the equity, because obviously we base it on the rent rather than the property in bricks and mortar value. And I see people getting sucked into that so quick because it's great leverage. And like you say, while the going's good, it's buy one, refinance all the money out, go again, go again, go again, go again. But eventually it's going to come a cropper when, like you say, interest rates inevitably are going to go up. There's it's a fact, it's going to happen. But then they've enjoyed all this short-term perceived wealth. It's not really wealth.
Well, can I say something? My mum taught me something when she was younger. She said, son, if you buy something for £1, for £100, and it's a car or a bike, when you try to sell it, it's worth 50. She goes, up until that moment, it's always worth £100. You paid for it until you try to sell it. Got it? So the principle is that you should be very clear on the investment strategy that you're following in property. Are you buying to accrue wealth? If which case, what we would know in the industry is calling flipping. You would buy and you'd flip, and you buy and you flip. And that period, that process within itself, if you can get yourself on one property, and if you can, at this moment, it still is an ascension. We still have 3.4% increase in property value since this year. So Peterborough specifically is a hotspot. I don't tend to lie about this situation. It's a brilliant place to be investing your money. So as your asset increases, if you flip it, you put maybe £10,000-15,000 in your pocket, obviously pay your due taxes, etc. Go and buy another one and do the same again and give it. But be realistic and be very disciplined. This industry needs discipline, because when you see the pound signs, you can easily lose your way and start to jump to another train track. Keep your destination correct, like a satellite navigation. Put the destination in and keep it there until you're there. Does that make sense? So my assumption would be very spot on with both of yourself there, that if you're looking to get onto the property ladder, focus on getting the first property, and don't, if you haven't got the capital back, don't focus on retention of that property. Put it straight out, bring it to a high standard, bring it out, move on. And there's other variables as well, property portfolios, for example, location, all these things are a part of it, but get in and out. So if a person is in that fabricated situation there, Adam, I think it's a really good thing for them to turn around and get out of property. They'll end up with £200,000-300,000, and now they can do it in a sensible format, buy to own. Sorry about that.
Super, thank you ever so much for that, Suki. It's been very insightful. Another message from Akil Mahmood on Facebook Live. Salam to my good friend Adam and Suki. So thank you, Akil. I'm here too, by the way.
You're on the wrong side of the desk, sadly.
It's so good. Suki, just one final question. What do you think the Peterborough property market outlook is for 2019?
In the sense of buy-to-let, or
in the terms of, generally speaking, is there going to be a property bubble? Are the house prices going to increase, decrease? Is it a good time to buy, good time to sell?
Okay.
What's the general feel of the property market at the moment?
Okay, so no one's really got the finger on the pulse. But if I can be honest with yourself, we've been listening for the last 3 years on a house drop valuation, yes? 3 years we've been talking about that. Every single time we bring about Brexit or some kind of a social disorder of some kind, then it always wobbles. Irrelevant when you go back generations. It takes about 10 years for the property situation to the market to represent itself, represent itself as and re-establish itself.
Okay.
I don't believe there is a big volatile issue here.
Okay.
People like, may I say, like myself and many other people like yourselves who are in this for a professional base, we're kind of like, I'm kind of laughing. I'm looking for property to let the local people who are unnerved by Brexit and stuff, let them drop the property, let them get out, because I'll be buying it. Does that make sense? So I do not believe there is a challenge or a problem. And I don't believe it's a bubble either. When you've got a house waiting list, best part of 6,000 plus people on a waiting list,
Exactly.
you've got rentals that are so lucrative because of the fact that there's such a waiting list there.
It's not the waiting list, it's the lack of properties being built.
And also the City Council de-assetisation.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to look at the fact that there was an asset programme that was passed by Lord, I can't remember his name, last year, which has now come to fruition. So much property you can see in town centre in Peterborough specifically has been removed. There are no assets in cash flow. Does that make sense? So in that context, I suppose, for me, I don't believe there's going to be a bubble in that context. There will be some flexibility, just don't get too highly geared.
Super.
But, stick it out.
Fantastic, Suki. Thank you ever so much. And just lastly, Suki, being born and bred in Peterborough, tell me what you love about Peterborough.
I love Peterborough's heart. I really do.
Amazing.
You can cut me open, whichever you want to see it. I'm burning into your last 60 seconds. But for me, it's the love, the real true connection with humans that we've got within ourselves, and the ultimate respect that my father has created. And hopefully that at some point or another I've added some value of it back into the life as well.
Amazing. Suki, thank you ever so much for taking this quality time out on your birthday. Once again, I hope you have a wonderful birthday. Guys, our time is now up. Thank you for coming today. Suki, you've been a true inspiration. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Our guest next week is actually a mystery guest, so I'll be announcing it in due course. You can rewatch this show on Facebook and YouTube, or alternatively by visiting my blog page, which is peterboropropertyblog.com. From myself and Adam, thank you for joining us today on Salam Radio. Until next week, same time, same place, we are your Peterborough property guys. Thank you once again, Suki, Adam. Thank you very much, guys. All the very best.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Stay tuned to Salam Radio.